Good morning.
Good morning, Father.
Today, before I start my homily, I would like to invite my brother Paul to come and share to us his witness talk, and then I'll come for my homily. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In last week's gospel, the disciples thought they were going to drown in a storm while Jesus slept. Father Daniel reminded us that in every circumstance, no matter how bad it seems, Jesus is always in our midst. These crises we have are opportunities for us to cry out in faith, "Jesus, save me." Today I'm going to talk about Jesus' response, where he tells us to go beyond fear, persevere in faith which will show itself by actions which demonstrate our trust in God's love. Every one of us here has been afraid. Many of us are anxious now. We're anxious about our health, or fearful for our family, or concerned about not having enough money, or we're facing some other serious issue of life. What should we do? For me, the verse that stands out in this gospel is, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." In an earlier translation, this was, "Fear is useless. What is needed is trust." I like the older translation because it tells us what to do with our faith. Faith is a belief in something we cannot see. Trust is actually acting on that faith. The proof of trust is our actions that demonstrate the trust and therefore faith. These are the works of that saying we all know, faith without works is dead. Faith leads to trust, which leads to action. The woman who was sick for 12 years was afraid of the crowd. They hated her because she was unclean. Her faith in Jesus led her to trust that if she acted on that faith, God would respond. So she pushed through the crowd. Jairus felt unimaginable fear and grief when he heard that his little girl was dead. Some of us have gone through that emotional abyss. I can't imagine. Yet Jesus told Jairus, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." His fear was useless. What he needed to do was to trust Jesus and act on his faith. This message is for us today in our daily lives. No matter how bad our current life experience seems, Jesus' response is, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." Fear is useless. What is needed is trust. Whenever we are fearful from what happened in the past, or is happening now, or may happen in the future, Jesus tells us to give ourselves to him and receive healing peace. Today's two stories also tell us to persevere in faith and trust, even if we are not seeing results. I'm sure that the woman with the issue of blood and Jairus had prayed for healing without results, yet they persevered in faith and trust. Their trust was in God, not in the healing. That happens to us. I needed to do this as Maureen, my wife, slowly died. We prayed for healing, but that was not to be. All of us here prayed for healing for Father Daniel's mother, Mary. She died too. But the healing was not to be. We all knew fear is useless. We knew the answer was to trust in God's plans for our good. So Maureen and I trusted that this awful chapter was not the final chapter. I continue to act on that trust by reaching out to people in need, to comfort them in their trials. God's unconditional love carries us through every strife and trial, even those which seem impossible. So this week, let us remember that God sees our suffering. Jesus will bring healing and peace. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in the way we expect, but Jesus always brings healing and peace. Let our faith show itself in trust, a trust that produces action. We can demonstrate our faith by doing something loving for someone else. As we wait for God's grace, we can be instruments of God's healing and peace to someone else who needs it. God is with us all the time. God bless you all.
Thank you, Paul.